Finally, America has surrendered. The war that was started lightly has widened at the entrance and narrowed at the exit, and it is now testing America. Iran continuing to confront America's so-called massive military power face to face until today has become astonishing. Trump and his officials have been greatly tested by Iran. America, which manufactures and possesses what are called the world's most advanced military technologies, seem to have been heavily tested in this Iran war and appears to have learned many lessons. Saudi Arabia denied American airspace access to attack Iran. According to NBC News, Saudi Arabia denied US access to its airspace and Presultan Air Base during Trump's newly launched project, Operation Freedom in the Strait of Hormuz. The war that Trump entered lightly is now making them ask where the exit is. The Iranians, realizing Trump entered a trap he never expected, have tightened the pressure on him. Now the voices saying, "Let us talk, let us negotiate, let us gather," are being heard loudly and clearly not from Iran's side, but from the White House. Earlier, the campaign called Great Rat or Epic Fury was declared over. After that, a new operation called Project Freedom was carried out for 2 days this week, but even that was abandoned with the conclusion that it did not work. Now they are saying, "Let us take the issue to the United Nations." Trump said last night, "We are talking with Iran and we are seeing encouraging signs. Stay strong." Now the decisive key issue is at the Strait of Hormuz. Iran's warning that it could do more than just completely close the Strait of Hormuz has thrown America into panic. Due to the decline in global and American oil production, Trump, through his Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, announced that they would take the issue to the United Nations. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio stated that no solution had yet been found regarding Iran's complete closure of the Strait of Hormuz. Rubio said, "What else can he do or can he done? Let the United Nations handle the matter concerning us powerful country. We are asking people like troops to help," he said. In a recent White House statement, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio explained clearly and detailed that America had made every possible effort on its own to reopen the Strait of Hormuz after Iran completely shut it down, but that those efforts have failed. Although America requested assistance from many countries, he stated that the U.S. did not receive any meaningful positive cooperation. He also said that under the current circumstances, America had decided to take the issue to the United Nations as a final appeal. Marco Rubio continued his speech by saying, "To be honest, if there is one institution in the world that claims it can solve international problems, then this issue is now a true test for the United Nations. When we ask about the main purpose of the United Nations, its essential role is to ensure that conflicts arising in any part of the world are resolved peacefully, that solutions are found. But now there is a country that has unlawfully, criminally, and irresponsibly blocked an international maritime passage, planted naval mines in the sea, and attacked commercial ships. I think the UN has a role as a body that solves global problems. What is the purpose of the UN? The UN was supposed to be a place where global conflict could be resolved peacefully. Right now, a country is unlawfully, criminally, and illegally taking control of an international waterway." Continuing his speech, Marco Rubio added, "Under the current circumstances, we would take this matter to the United Nations. We are taking this issue to the United Nations so that Iran will be condemned for its actions. Stop attacking ships, remove the naval mines it planted in the sea, and allow humanitarian aid to move freely in the region. Honestly, these are not difficult demands. They are very simple requests. Therefore, it is also the responsibility of China and Russia to ensure that a resolution is passed regarding the proposal being presented." This is what U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said. The United States, in cooperation of Bahrain, prepared a draft resolution that is expected to be presented before the United Nations Security Council. The main point of the resolution is to impose sanctions on Iran for what it calls the illegal closure of the Strait of Hormuz. Reports indicate that The draft redaction will be submitted to the Security Council next week. However, China and Russia, which hold veto power in the Security Council, have already announced that they will reject it. Iran's representative to the United Nations also responded to the draft resolution prepared jointly by the United States and Bahrain. The claim stated that countries' position regarding that proposed resolution. In the explanation, they criticized it by saying that it shows one-sided favoritism and failed to mention the invasion carried out by the America and Israel. United Motivated was the name of the campaign when America entered the war against Iran. The operation was called Epic Fire. After 39 days of non-stop intense fighting by America and Israel, the conflict eventually stopped in the middle with the announcement, "We have agreed to a ceasefire." It was also described as a temporary ceasefire. Attempts were made through Pakistan to negotiate with Iran, but they failed. It has then announced that if the negotiations failed, the campaign called Epic Fury would continue. Iran also declared that whether the campaign stopped or continued, it was already ready for either outcome. Trump repeatedly threatened, saying, "We will continue the war and destroy the remaining Iranian missiles." But recently, the US Department of Defense suddenly appeared and announced that the Epic Fury campaign had successfully achieved its objective and had conclusion. Using the phrase "mission accomplished," the claim stated that the operation had ended. Regarding the question of what the war was intended to achieve and what success had been accomplished, the Pentagon explained that the goals were to destroy Iranian missiles, disable Iran missiles production facilities, and destroy its naval forces. They claimed that these goals had been achieved. In addition, they said Iran's nuclear capability has been also weakened. They analyzed the success of the war based on whether the original objective had been met. However, despite claims that Iran's missiles had been destroyed, Iran is still repeatedly launching missiles today, even toward the United Arab Emirates, which is considered an American ally in the region. News reports are saying that Iran, whose missiles were supposedly completely destroyed, recently attacked an oil refinery in the United Arab Emirates with missiles in this manner. As for the naval force that was said to have been destroyed, Hormuz still remains tightly closed, while 22,500 sailors, shipwreckers, and 1,150 ships remain trapped by Iran's closure of Strait of Hormuz and continue pleading for solution. Claims that Iran's navy has been destroyed appear confusing and questionable. By the way, reports indicate that when Iran closed the Strait of Hormuz to prevent attacks against itself, it did not rely on a massive naval and air forces deployment like America. Instead, earlier satellite surveillance reportedly showed that during forced confrontation with Iran, America's massive naval fleet has withdrawn. War game stimulated strikes on US bases were carried out. Ships from the United States fleet pulled away from their position in Bahrain, shifting to a more defensive posture at sea. Satellite images show this. In the modern world, there has never been a country that directly confronted America at this level in a warfare, but Iran has continued facing America head-on until today, and this has become a history that has astonished many people. Iran directly confronted America's massive naval power, which many believe could never be challenged. For 39 days, it carried out an intense fight with Iran and America. This war was not fought only against America, but also against Israel, which possesses powerful military strength. America, which produces and possesses some of the world's most advanced military technologies, appears to have been greatly tested in this war with Iran and seems to have learned many lessons. By the way, after the Epic Fury campaign was declared finished, a new operation was launched with the goal of reopening the Strait of Hormuz and escorting out the ships said to be trapped by Iran. Trump himself said, "Plan and launch this campaign recently." Attempts were made, but Iran's response was severe. After reviewing the situation, Trump quickly changed his position. A new decision was made. Project Freedom should be abandoned because it would not succeed. When Project Freedom was first announced, media outlets heavily promoted it as breaking news. Likewise, it was later announced that Project Freedom had failed and been cancelled. Those same media organizations widely reported as breaking news. If Trump's plans had succeeded, the thousands of ships and shipwreckers said to have been trapped in the Strait of Hormuz for weeks by Iran have been escorted safely out of the region. However, because Iran was far stronger than expected, the newly launched operation also failed to succeed. As a result, Iranian speedboats are still freely moving through the Strait of Hormuz today. America's massive naval force appears to be standing by the distant observer, closely monitoring the situation. This is the reality currently unfolding on the ground. Saudi Arabia, which for years has been a major buyer of American weapons in the Middle East, has grown tired of Iranian missiles attacks and prohibited America from using its airspace again, saying, "Do not bring these attacks upon us again." According to NBC News, Arabia's position from the beginning had been that it should not become part of this war. Russia and China have chosen to remain silent observers. A few days ago, Trump referred to them as the judges. President Vladimir Putin, who received a phone call, also closed, stayed calm and remained seated quietly. As the saying goes, let the garbage stay healthy. At this point, the only remaining option is dialogue and negotiations. All military options have been significantly tested. Threats, attacks, and attempts of every kind have all been tried. In general, every possible show of the force has already been seen. The final option now appears to be finding a way out of the war they unexpectedly entered. For this reason, talking with Iran has become unavoidable. After the operation called Project Freedom failed, Trump started over the past 24 hours. We have started talks with Iran. There is a possibility that we may reach an agreement. It may be possible. This is the end of the update. See you next time. Please subscribe, like, comment, and share. Bye.